Ink-a-dink, 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 ink-a-dink. Wow! 16 hours so far of the Basil-A-Thon. Going strong. Good evening. Good continued evening. Good long. And no, he's not sleeping. He's not sleeping. His eyes are just, always kind of like this because he's deep in thought. That's how cats are. They're just constantly in a constant state of I'm with you, kind of. Unless something draws their attention. Basil? Okay. Well, I know he sees me. Because he always insists that I wear a red shirt and, even better yet, a red tie on top of a red shirt. Now, I'm not sure. Can you see my head? My head's not red. My eyes are never bloodshot. You know that. Can you see? He twitched his right ears. Right ear, one if I land, two if I see. Right ear, yes. Left ear, maybe. There's no use of the word no in Basil's language. It's got, as you know, cat has, what are we up to now? 942,813 different words, concepts, ideas in cat. It's an ever evolving language, just the same way as every other language is evolving. It adds new terms. It does everything except add new sounds, because, as you know, cat, two sounds, and that's it. Two sounds, but according to how you arrange them, combine them, reuse them, overuse them, you have all those potential words, thoughts, and ideas, and that's how it is with the cats. At any rate, so we're continuing with our Basil-A-Thon. We've been going strong for 16 hours. If you missed it, you missed a lot of stuff. We talked about a lot of things. We watched and commented on, it seemed like about, 15 or 20, something like that, more basketball games. But to recap the tournament, Basil, of course, we've been through 64 of the ultimately 67 games in the NCAA Basketball Tournament. And Basil's picked them all right on his bracket. His bracketology is perfect. And as you know from previous shows, his bracketology is perfect because he's got it in. He's got another cat situated at the right hand of the left hand of the left shoulder of God. He's got Pope Francis's cat, Basil, who's been giving him all the picks. And does it give you scores too? Does it give you? I know in football you have over and under, you have point spread. Basil says that's nobody cares about how much you lose by. If you lose by a point, if you lose by 20 points, there's not a lot of difference. There's a little bit in terms of comfort, bragging rights, in terms of taking a little extra cat nap on the bench at the end of the game if your team's up by a lot, taking an additional bathroom break, litter pan break, if you will, if your team's down a lot. Because there's nothing quite as uncomfortable for a crowd of thousands of people than to watch some dude peeing on the floor. It's just not appealing. So at any rate, so we've got our Basil-A-Thon going on. We're raising money, and I'm looking at the tote board, and I don't see much on it yet, but we're going to get there. We're going to get to that final number, and whatever number we get to will be matched by, I don't know, somebody. Somebody said they would do matching donation. So at any rate, so we're raising money. And our good friend Stephen T. Colbert, apparently we watched and we understood what it was all about. We watched as he talked about in one of his shows last week, a fellow by the name of Dan Snyder. Now, Dan Snyder is the owner of the Washington, and I don't even know if we want to say that word anymore because it's sort of like it's the R word now. Just kind of like the same way that that there's an N word, now there's an R word, and there's been an R word for a long time. They've been debating this notion, and I'm going to say it, Basil. I'm going to use the word because it's important that we say it in order to spay it. Okay, Redskins, the Washington Redskins. Okay, now, not the foreskins. They're not the foreskins. They're not the 5 skins. They're not the 6 skins. Not the 27.5 skins. They're the Redskins. And Stephen T. Colbert on his Colbert Report talked about the notion of the Redskins and how Dan Snyder, the current owner of the team, has come forward and decided that he would, in order to make things okay with the Native American community in America, the different nations, is to make a donation, and also have some dude as a reach out guy to the Indians, the Indian nations, the Native Americans in America. And that guy apparently, who shall go nameless because can't think of his name, he apparently was formerly associated with what's called the Bureau of Indian Affairs in Washington. It's a little portion of the government that deals with trying to make it right for the however many millions of Native Americans that were murdered, and how to keep them happy on the I guess we could use that word, reservations, because they still think they use the words. It's tribal lands that are owned, and they pretty much got pushed onto the crappiest pieces of land around. But Native Americans, being known as a very resilient people and capable of actually making good use of bad land, and well, there's also been mineral rights that have come up and help them out a little bit, but that's contrary to the historical perspective of Indian nations. They've not been in the habit of pillaging the land and digging into it and messing it up. They live on top of the land. They respect the sanctity of the land. They don't build basements. The teepees are their nomadic way of traveling from point A to point B and to further points, and they just don't. They're just not living the kind of life that historically they've led as North America's first citizens, and continuing as their first citizens. which actually Basil's giving me the twitch of the. See, here's the third whisker from the bottom on his left-hand side, and he can take his whisker and he can actually curl it and write in cursive. And if you look really, really closely, he only does it for a blink of an eye, and then it's back to its normal straight shape. But he curled me out a joke he wants me to tell. And Basil, I think we told that joke a few shows ago, but if you want me to say it again, okay, I'll do it. Apparently, man walks into a store and he overhears two dark-skinned people, brown-skinned people, speaking what appears to be Spanish to him. And he's one of these kind of guys that, let's just say, hates immigrants. Doesn't want anybody coming in the country. If you come in here the way his granddaddy did, and apparently his granddaddy came over on a boat from Ireland, as the joke goes. Came over from a boat on Ireland, and the same way that my grandparents, Basil's been here, but my grandparents came here from Ireland in the early 1900s. It was, I think, 1910. Came on a boat, got here, off the boat. Somebody that was Irish was here that met them coming off the boat. Had already arranged for them to have a job as caretakers on a mansion in Greenwich, Connecticut, and there you go. They were there. And all of a sudden, there was no question about whether they were American citizens. They were here. They became American citizens very easily, and that's my heritage on my father's side. So anyway, the guy's in the store and he overhears these two individuals speaking what appears to be Spanish to him. He walks up to him and he says, "Look, we've been speaking English in America now, in this country, which is only 240 some odd years old, but apparently, he's stretching it back a bit, back when the English were in charge of a fair amount of the country. French, of course, had the portion that was Louisiana on up into the midsection of the country. The Spanish had a fair portion of the Southwest. Anyway, so he says to him, we've been speaking English in this country for 300 years. Either learn to speak English or go back to Mexico." Now the two people, they look at each other. One of them says to the guy, "We were speaking Navajo. Navajo's been speaking in this country and spoken in this country. They're speaking Navajo and they're spoken in the speaking and they're spoken in the speak." Oh, now I'm having trouble spoken. Okay, so he says to the guy, he says, we were speaking Navajo. Navajo has been spoken in this country for 3,000 years, not 300, 3,000 years. So, either start speaking Navajo or go back to England. Now, I know there's some people out there that may not understand that, may not care to understand that, because they've got this notion in their mind that history began yesterday. But those folks are going to have to come to grips with the fact that these are hardworking Americans and they deserve to be. They want to be citizens. They learn to speak the language. They learn to speak English, so they're bilingual, which is a lot more that can be said for a lot of folks that are critical of them, who barely speak English too good themselves. So that's it. So there you go. So that's the joke. Now let's continue on with our 16th hour of our Basil-A-Thon. Okay, so we're saving up money for the Stephen Colbert Defense Fund. And Stephen had the show last week where he discussed the Redskins situation, the Washington Redskins situation, the football team. And he drew a parallel situation to that in order to show how filthy and disgusting the notion of having a team named the Redskins is. And a little bit of background, we may have discussed this on a previous show. We may have discussed this on earlier portions of our Basil-A-Thon, because we've been going at it. This is the 16th hour. So, wait a second, hold on. Okay. Water comes in handy. So he draws a parallel. Stephen Colbert draws a parallel to the situation with the Washington Redskins using Chinese. And Stephen talks about the Redskins and Dan Snyder graciously chipping in a couple $1,000s to help buy a tractor for one of the Native American nations out in the Midwest. And he's very, very kind, generous. He's got this guy that used to be part of the Bureau of Indian Affairs, and apparently he was charged with, and maybe there wasn't enough evidence, but he was charged at any rate. He was charged with ripping off the Bureau of Indian Affairs and Native Americans for something like $1 million. So the guy's probably not, at least at face value, the best choice of someone to reach out. Can I borrow some of your water? Okay. Your water is always better than my water. Oh, okay. Basil says his water is always better than my water because Kristen fills his dish with, you can't say the name of the product, but a mineral water, let's say. And my dish, because she knows I like the out of the tap water, that it's fine. Occasionally they chlorinate it a bit, so you taste a bit of chlorine in the water. Like at the beginning of this Basil-A-Thon. So Basil, so Stephen Colbert draws his parallel, and he uses some Chinese references that are overtly racist. The same way that you could draw a lot of references to Indian nations that are clearly overtly racist, and people do this and think nothing of it. So Colbert does it, and okay. So at any rate, so Colbert's in a little bit of a drew some criticism, let's say, for the whole thing, even though clearly sarcastic, clearly a point of reference in order to show up Dan Snyder of the Washington Redskins for being in his attempt to being sensitive, being even more insensitive than he was prior to his attempt at being sensitive. So, that enough? Okay. Well, and I thought you'd have some call-ins. Hold on. Okay, well, let's do it. And this, we have to do our thanks to our friend Bill Murray for giving us this tip from Ghostbusters on how to conjure up. So we're conjuring up people from the hereafter, and okay. Basil said, okay, it says it's actually some heroes in Native American history that are going to comment on the situation. Okay, well, here we go. Thank you, Bill Murray, for your kind efforts in getting us this notion of doing this. Okay, well, and let's just wait for the, okay. Happy Basil-A-Thon. This is Basil BuddhaCat presents. Okay, okay, Elsie, I understand, okay, well, tell me about it real quickly and we'll discuss it on, we'll add that in on a future show. Okay. Elsie's got a notion. Okay. When we get to our, let's say, number 25 of the Basil-A-Thon, we'll give you a call back. Thanks. Bye. Okay. Okay. Oh, it's a little phone this time. Not the little phone, but the little phone. Thank you for calling Basil BuddhaCat Presents. Okay, but we're not getting exactly the people that we're looking for. This apparently is Ted Nugent, and he's on catdate.com. And yeah, I understand. I understand that yeah. You already told us this once, and it's pretty disgusting actually. Basley's he's going on about how cat scratch fever. The first notion about it because he claims he was 10 years old the first time he had sex. Can't say romantic interlude. He had sex with someone else. He was 10 years old and got this cat scratch fever, and then it comes to turns out that it wasn't with, as we had heard, a 10-year-old girl. Wasn't with a younger girl, wasn't with an older woman. It was actually with a cat. And no, there's no taking it back. There's no backsies, Ted. You should have thought that one through before. He says he's got to go. He says he's trying to I'm not even going to say that. Okay. I'll tell you after the show, after the Basil-A-Thon is over, I'll share that one with you, Basil. Elsie, okay. Elsie said it was a hoof dial. Thanks. We'll talk to you later, Elsie, we promise. Okay. Well, that's not working. Let's try again. No. We know it's not Nick. We know it's Ted. Oh, okay. It's actually we had on the previous show we had a call in from Ted Cruz's grandfather, talking about some things, and okay, he says no, you got your guy wrong. It was actually and is actually Marco Rubio's grandfather, Rubio del Rubio. So nope, sorry, not. We got to get this thing squared away. But thanks for calling. Okay. Maybe this time. Okay. Tweety, is it, are you showing up the proper sequence of zeros and ones?
Yeah.
Okay, thanks. On your caller ID. Okay, good. Okay. Tweety, don't wait for Kristen to answer for you. Answer for yourself. Hello, Basil BuddhaCat presents. Okay, here we go. Okay. We have on the line from the hereafter. He says he is an Ogallala Sioux. And are you going to make us guess your name? We could try. Okay. I'm going to guess, since of the importance of the discussion we're having here about the Washington Redskins, I'm going to say we're probably speaking with Chief Sitting Bull. Okay. He says that's who it is. And by the way, he doesn't speak Navajo, but he speaks English quite well, thank you. He says he actually speaks English better than, and it's a statistical fact that his English quality of speaking English is superior to 72% of people who speak English in America. Okay. He says actually, his name is actually not Sitting Bull. It's actually Sitting Bison, and I hear some. Is that zombie activity I hear?
Yep.
Oh, phew. Got zombies prowling around the next studio. Okay. So your name is actually Sitting Bison? Okay. All right. Well, we were actually going to kick a few minute break. We're going to stop the show for a bit, and then we're going to come back. We're going to continue the discussion. If we can get you on the phone again, Chief Sitting Bison, and onward 2 hour 16 and a half in a few minutes. This has been Basil BuddhaCat Presents. I'm David Stevenson, Basil's co-host, interpreter, and chief gopher. Basil BuddhaCat, who's been not saying a lot in this show, but he's a tired cat, and we'll be back in a short while.
They say they'd rob your grandma blind on Wall Street, fritter her away her Medicare on Wall Street. And Pharma Oil and their pet fox don't care if she lives in a box, so long as they wear platinum jocks on Wall Street, Meow.